Alright, howdy. This is Jarl Stewart of Dansk. Today we're going to talk about fight gloves. And this is for steel-rated weaponry, as well as some rattan it'll work, and it'll just look cool for any kind of boffer weapons that you might want to do. And by boffer, I also mean Larper, but not only do Larpers use boffer weapons, but many other types of stick-swinging games use boffing materials. Now, the fight glove that we're going to be doing today is this up-armored fight glove. Looks pretty cool for LARPing. Also, very functional for steel fighting. This glove I made about 2.5 years ago out of basically $10 to $20 worth of leather, and it has lasted me 2.5 years of very intense fighting, both in Western and Eastern styles. Eastern styles is where it is basically an all-out brawl. So it works really well. The type of leather that you want for this is anywhere from 3 to 5 quarters thick. So you stack 3 to 5 quarters on it, and that's what you want. For the fingers, you want a little bit thinner, so more like in the 3 range. And then for anything that would be any other pieces, thumb is included in the fingers, but any other pieces like this up armored section on the finger and these big scales back here, you want closer to 5. You can have even larger than 5. So what I did was mount it on a gardening glove. It makes it very easy for you to be able to just mount it onto an already existed padded glove. You want it to be a padded glove made of some kind of leather so that it holds its own on the glove itself. Now, there's 2 ways that you can there's 2 ways that you can go about getting leather for these gloves. There's a cheap way and there's the expensive way. The expensive way makes it so that you get the most bang for your buck. Yes, all the colors are the same, the gloves look nicer, and you're going to be able to get the most out of your leather pieces with this, and that is to go to a place like Tandy Leather that sells big old sheets of leather. You can get them any size you want, everything like that. That is the most efficient way to go about doing it. And if you plan on doing any kind of leather working, Tandy Leather is a great place to go. Now, the other way is to go to your local crafting store where they have a whole bunch of very moderate, useless crap for most crafts. Mainly it's a scrapbooking store, such as Hobby Lobby. Now, they have packs of leather that are as cheap as $5, and generally you can get there on a 90% leather sale at least once a month and get them for next to nothing. The things you need to worry about these packs is you get this leather that is super easy to crumble up. That leather is worthless. All for but the first step of creating these gloves. The first step of creating these gloves is that you can actually use this crap to make patterns so that you can trace it onto the good leather. Another thing you want to avoid in these packs is black leather. Black leather was not a thing during the Viking Age for the Scandinavians themselves because they could not dye black. So you want to avoid packs with that black leather and just any leather that you can ball up and crap. Now, for a quick summation of how to make these patterns, okay, I'm going to get a little bit closer to the camera, that's how you want the finger piece to be. It's approximately a 1/2 inch bigger in each direction that you can make the piece. And let me get my pattern piece here for a second. This extends on my finger well below the knuckle, about 1 centimeter below the knuckle on there. For these up-armored pieces, it's going to be about 1 inch wide by 1.5 inches long. So 1 inch wide by 1.5 inches long. Okay? Now, for this thumb piece, okay, it's the same 1/2 inch extra around your thumb. And the way it covers is you're taking your hand, you're putting it out at the most natural extent and moving it here. This piece should reach all the way past the connection of your wrist and should extend beyond your middle finger knuckle. These panels, they are approximately 4 inches long and approximately 5.5 inches wide. And you want these edges to be rounded because any sharp corners on any piece that is exposed to the fighting surface is going to start to wear away. And it'll also be really rough on your skin should it actually start rubbing on your skin. Now, for this back panel, when you're constructing your glove, you want to put on first these up armor bits onto the fingers individually, because trying to put those onto the gloves after the fact, after you've already attached the fingers, is a pain in the ass. So you want those to be attached on super well. I've got plenty of stitchings on there with some artificial sinew and everything like that. So you want to put on the fingers and the thumb first. Now, the next part is you want to lay out your glove on the table and take your pieces to make sure that everything is going to fit properly on the glove. Once you cut up a whole bunch of pieces, you're going to take this knuckle part and make sure that it extends into these up armor portions of the finger. Then what you're going to want to do is take one of these panels and subvert it under. You want half of the big knuckle piece to be basically covering the next panel. Then with the next panel on underneath that, you want at least 1.5 inches of coverage. When you're assembling these pieces, okay, you're going to want to first attach this back portion to the main glove. Okay, it doesn't get attached to any of the other panels. Then when you're attaching here, you're actually going to attach this knuckle portion to the second panel as well as the glove itself after you attach the panel to the glove itself. It's a great way to keep it sturdy. Now, some pointers on how you want to cut out these panel pieces for these gloves. Okay? Once you have your patterns all done up and everything like that, is you're going to get, we'll start with the Hobby Lobby style. You're going to get yourself a pack of random ass leather. Okay? You're going to most likely wind up with gloves that are going to be mismatched in color, and that's okay for a good starter glove or a loner glove for your group. Okay? What you're going to want to do is take that pack of leather and first start with your big pieces, so like these panels, okay? And take whatever you can to first looking at all the pieces, and you're going to want to make sure that you get as many of these as you can from it, or as many as you need, depending on if you're making one glove or many gloves. Then, the next piece that takes a priority is the thumb piece. It is the biggest piece next to that. And when you are drawing them out, make sure that you take your pattern and you flip it for the other side. You don't want to wind up with a whole bunch of right hand gloves and no left hand. Then, the next pattern piece that is, the next most important is your knuckle piece, okay? After that, it's fingers, okay? And then after that, a pinky, all right? The finger pieces are all the same for 3 of the fingers. The pinky is, of course, significantly smaller, so you want a separate piece for that so that you can save on leather. Because realistically, the pinky piece, you could practically get a pinky piece out of just about 1 finger piece worth of leather. Then, at the very end of it all, you get your up armor for your fingers, okay? And you're just gonna take all these random pieces and draw them all up, okay? And you want to draw them all up, especially if you're a group leader making stuff for your guys, because you as a group leader are going to be busy, always busy. You're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff for free and everything like that. I work as a delivery driver, so I actually have something I like to refer to as the Jarl's backpack, which has enough space for me to put crafting projects in. Now that we have gone through the random pack from basically a little old grandpa crafting store, we're going to go for the Tandy leather method, which is basically a big old sheet. Now, I've already cut a bunch of stuff out of this. I've already gotten myself a whole bunch of pieces from it and done part of my project from it. Got myself a whole bunch of big pieces from it. Now, what you're going to want to do with this method is you're going to want to basically start on an edge that is straight and then work your way into the piece. Always starting with the big pieces and everything like that. Once you use up about half of it on the biggest piece, you want to count that up and then try and make finished glove products from the rest of the space. And the same priority list of which size pieces you should go for first is the same as you would for the mom and pop crafting store method or Hobby Lobby method. Now, one thing I do suggest that you go to or order off of line is Tandy Leather for a wonderful thing. And that is their super leather cutting shears. These are about 30 bucks and it is worth every single penny, because when you are cutting leather with a box knife and you are cutting this thick armor grade leather, it takes multiple strokes and you're using a whole lot of force and a whole lot of effort to make very little progress. And many times you always wind up missing a little piece of leather when you're cutting it out. That is just the biggest pain in the butt to go back through and cut, because you're expecting it to come out. Now, with these shears, I have not found a piece of leather that gives it any kind of resistance. These work absolutely great. It's almost like cutting through paper. They turn great. They cut out just absolutely amazingly. They hardly ever need to be sharpened, and I know that the local cutlery store only charges me $5 to sharpen these, but I haven't had to yet, and I've owned these for over 6 months, making countless projects on them. And you saw how fast that was just to cut out a piece of leather, of really thick armor grade leather. Even some of the thickest stuff, it just blasts through it. Hard stuff, rawhide, it just does not matter, because these are just the greatest little pairs of scissors. Now, as far as quality goes on these gloves, they're not the prettiest. They're not the most long-lasting, the coolest looking, or realistically some of the most flexible. But the fact of the matter is that when you're going for fight gloves and everything like that, there are a lot of people out there that sell some really great fight gloves. It feels like you're wearing nothing. It protects you no matter what, and they're lifetime gloves so long as you take care of them, you oil them and everything like that. But in 2.5 years of long fighting and everything like that, here is the only ounce of wear and tear that I've had on these gloves, and that is right here. A few seams have busted right here on the thumb, which will take me all of 5 minutes to fix. And then the underglove has busted right here, which will again take me only 5 minutes to fix. And that is all the damage. I have not repaired this glove since I first made it 2.5 years ago. So when you're looking at this glove, it easily reaches probably 85 to 95% effectiveness in all categories that you want in a fight glove, which is flexibility, durability, and protection. I've used these in all sorts of fights, all the way from HEMA to Eastern and Western, Viking fighting. And they work great. I haven't had a single complaint about them. About the worst hits that I've taken to the hand caused me to basically flick my fingers and everything like that, yell and swear for a second and then move on. And when I've used really high grade, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars per gloves, the same thing would happen. So this is a really cheap way to get into the Viking scene and not have to spend a whole lot of money to do something that you're very passionate about. For the longest time, up until I got my Viking name given to me and became Jarl, or a leader of a group, I was known as the Broke Dick Viking, because I would literally go onto the side of the road and roadside stabbing of couch cushions for leather bits. I would jump into dumpsters to get old cat trees and steal the rope off of them. I would jump into dumpsters and get broom handles to make spears out of. And let's be honest, I still do it. I still gather up those materials so that the people who are just starting out with this can have a little bit of a, you know, stockpile to grab from and everything like that, and they will pay it forward when they have all their stuff made. But this is a great glove, and I highly recommend the pattern for it, and I put it out there because realistically it's relatively common sense. It's just that I've gotten lucky in creating a very good pattern to work so efficiently for so cheap. So leave any comments below if you have any questions about the glove, or if you want to, you know, talk trash to me. I don't care. It's great to see any comments. Free publicity is always good publicity. But this is Jarl Stewart again, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one.